Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a bit different. Taking a journey, you could say, beyond just scrolling. We've got this collection of sources, basically a snapshot of the big trending posts on X from July 13th and into early July 14th, 2025. And our mission really is to dig past that quick glance, find the important bits, the insights hiding in plain sight in today's online buzz.
Exactly. Because what looks like just, random online chatter often connects to much bigger things. Societal trends, economic shifts, sometimes even deep psychological stuff. We're going to try and connect those dots for you, help you get the why behind what's actually trending.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this and see what's really jumping out from the X landscape today.
The modern grind and the search for purpose.
So first up, we're kicking things off with a post that's, well, it's funny, but also hits kind of hard. It's from @S8N. It's that meme, you've probably seen it. Two people on a bus, one's not having a job, the other's having a job. And they're both just staring out at this grim, cave landscape. The caption, "Would you like to make a deal?"
Yeah, that one really landed. And it's fascinating because despite the dark humor, it taps into a really significant feeling in the workforce right now. You look at studies like Gallup's recent ones and consistently see huge numbers, like over 60% globally, feeling dissatisfied with their jobs. And it often comes down to feeling a lack of purpose, or maybe not enough control over their own work.
Right, and I hear it's even tougher if you're just starting out like a new graduate.
Oh, absolutely. There was this article, I think from Career Strong late last year, talking about the entry-level job paradox. Get this. Something like 70% of jobs listed as entry-level are asking for 2, 3, even 5 years of experience.
How does that even work?
Exactly. It traps people. You can't get the experience without the job, can't get the job without the experience. It leads to unemployment or jobs that don't really use their skills. And zooming out, the World Economic Forum, in their 2025 Future of Jobs report, they're predicting 22% job turnover by 2030. That's huge. Driven by automation, shifting skill needs. It suggests that meme, that bleak outlook, it's not just personal failure, It might reflect a big structural change happening.
Wow, okay, so a real systemic thing we're seeing reflected there, not just, oh, I don't like my job.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, we saw that post from @PathOffMan. Totally different vibe. It's encouraging self-improvement, right? Showing the struggle, stay in bed or get up and run at sunrise, and how rewarding that effort is. How do those two fit together?
That's a really good point, because when you face these big, maybe overwhelming structural challenges, the question becomes, how do you build resilience? How do you find some agency? And that post, the one about discipline, it lines up perfectly with research. There was a study, British Journal of Sports Medicine, 2021, I think, found that regular morning exercise actually boosts mental resilience. Something about endorphins, focus.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it even echoes ancient philosophy. Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius writing about using challenges to grow. It's if the outside world feels chaotic, people look inward for strength.
So you see both sides on X then. The frustration with the system, the grind, but also this push for individual strength, finding purpose anyway, really captures that tension people are feeling.
Navigating the information sphere, transparency, AI, and critical thinking.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We've got some posts here that are, politically charged. And just a reminder, we're presenting these neutrally, focusing on the dynamics, not taking sides. First one, pretty stark from @Yardown Central. Just the words, "Stop talking about Epstein," over that collage of Trump and Epstein photos.
And that ties into this big push for transparency we've seen really ramping up in 2025. Remember, AG Bondi did declassify some initial Epstein documents back in February following a campaign promise. But the extent of disclosure is still really debated. What's interesting here, though, is you might be seeing the Streisand effect.
We're trying to shut something down just makes it louder.
Exactly. Trying to suppress discussion can totally backfire, amplify it instead. MIT studied this back in 2021, actually. Found that stuff censored online can get a 100% jump in engagement. It's psychological reactance. People just don't like being told what not to talk about.
Okay, and then right after seeing that, we get this post from @UnusualWhales reporting. Breaking. Ghislaine Maxwell willing to reveal Jeffrey Epstein's client list per Daily Mail.
Right, and this is where critical thinking becomes absolutely crucial for you listening, because that report seems to clash directly with a recent memo from the Trump administration saying basically no such official list exists.
So conflicting information right there.
Definitely. But then you have Spencer Kufin, the attorney who's represented victims for, years now. He's always said, okay, maybe no formal list, but Epstein's black book, thousands of hours of surveillance tapes. He believes the names are in there. So the difference between what Maxwell is reportedly willing to reveal and what the DOJ or FBI says exists, it raises questions. Potential suppression. A Newsweek piece touched on this. It makes you ask, what's the full picture?
And speaking of complex information, a really big post from @Elon Musk is getting a lot of buzz. He tweeted, "Amazing work by the @XAI team in 2 years." And this is all tied up with the hype around Grok 4.
Yeah, the excitement around Grok 4 is intense. Its capabilities are apparently so advanced that some people are starting to whisper about, sentience. It echoes that whole LaMDA thing back in 2022, remember? The Google engineer who thought the AI was self-aware.
I do, yeah. That was wild.
But it's really important to listen to the experts here. Peer-reviewed studies, like that famous one on the dangers of stochastic parrots, they warn us, don't anthropomorphize this stuff. These AIs are incredibly good at predicting the next word, mimicking conversation, like super advanced parrots, not necessarily thinking or feeling like we do.
Right.
Musk says XAI's focus is on maximally truth-seeking AI, which is interesting in itself. But it leaves an important question for you. With AI getting so sophisticated and all these claims flying around, how do you tell what's real performance based on design versus something else? How do you know what's true?
That whole theme, questioning assumptions, it also connects to another post we saw from @Illuminatabot asking, how long will 8 billion people allow 13 families to control them?
Yes, that one. That references a really persistent conspiracy theory. And look, historically, families like the Rothschilds did build immense wealth and influence back in the 19th century, no question. But today, wealth and power are much more fragmented. Global power isn't held by 13 families. Recent studies, like from the World Bank in 2024, show influence spread across thousands of actors. Governments, corporations, NGOs, powerful individuals. It's complex. It's just a reminder, really, that these huge, complex global systems, they're almost never controlled by a simple story or a tiny hidden group.
Societal debates and the human condition.
Okay, let's pivot a little. Let's talk about some posts that touch more on personal relationships, societal values. Saw a really powerful one from @MindfulMaven. Seemed to reflect a shift in how people think about their parents. The text was about forgiveness.
That really resonates. There was a study, Journal of Family Psychology, back in 2019, found that something like 68% of adults over 30, they report feeling more empathy for their parents' struggles once they face their own adult challenges.
That makes a lot of sense. You see it from their perspective more.
Exactly. And culturally, you see connections too. Like in India, for example, where intergenerational living is still really common. I think the latest survey showed 73%. Younger generations there, living closely with parents, are maybe reassessing perceived flaws with more understanding. Plus, the American Psychological Association found in 2022 that letting go of that resentment towards parents, it can actually lower stress hormones like cortisol by up to 23%. It's literally healthier to forgive.
Wow. That's fascinating, how our own lives change our view of our parents and the actual health benefits. And still on relationships, this post from @OngSidewalks declared something really lovely. Friends are soulmates too. There's so much love in a real, genuine friendship.
Yes, and this reflects a definite trend. A growing recognition that platonic friendships can be these incredibly deep, supportive, soulmate-level bonds. There was a study, Survey Center on American Life 2021, that highlighted something quite stark. 15% of men in the U.S. recorded having no close friends.
15%. That's worrying.
It is. And it underscores why there's this cultural shift towards valuing non-romantic love more explicitly. Psychology Today talked about this back in 2018, how friendships often provide this stable, non-judgmental support, sometimes more consistently than romantic relationships, which can be more conditional, right? And what's really interesting, historically, a Guardian article from this year mentioned that before World War II, close male friendships were actually much more visible, more socially prominent. Modern gender roles kind of pushed that underground. So this post, this sentiment, it could almost be seen as like reclaiming something that was lost.
So when you look at these posts together, it seems like we're all collectively reassessing what our most important human connections look like, what they mean. It's pretty profound stuff, really.
Policy perception and everyday surprises.
All right, let's get into some policy stuff now and how it plays out in everyday life. We saw a significant post from the UK Labour leader Keir Starmer. He stated, "You shouldn't need a driveway to own an electric car. My plan for change is boosting funding for infrastructure to allow cables to run safely beneath pavements."
Right, so that's directly targeting the, 22% of UK households without driveways? a big barrier to EV ownership. And he's leveraging that $63 million government investment that was just announced like yesterday, July 13th.
Okay, 63 million sounds like a lot.
It does, but it's actually quite a bit less than the $950 million the conservatives had previously promised just for motorway chargers. So context matters. And you see skepticism on X, which kind of mirrors findings from the UK Energy Research Center. Even though EV sales jumped massively, like 240% between 2021 and 2024, there's still only 5% of cars on the road in the UK. People worry about high electricity costs. UK's are among the highest. And just practical things like where do you park to charge if you don't have a driveway?
So, for you listening, the promise of saving money with EVs. Well, there's another side. A report from Green Alliance last year warned about potential blackouts, affecting maybe 700,000 users by 2025 if the smart charger infrastructure doesn't keep up. So, big upfront costs, grid strain. It might cancel out savings for some.
It really highlights that gap, doesn't it, between the policy intention, which sounds good, and the messy reality of building the infrastructure and getting people on board. It's never straightforward.
Definitely not. Okay, now a different kind of post. This one sparked a lot of debate. From @WallStreetApes, it's a video. A guy films his sister's shopping cart filled with groceries. He sounds surprised at how much she got using EBT and WIC. Those are U.S. food assistance programs. The total was $833. And he says, not many working families could afford this.
Yeah, that video definitely touched a nerve. It's a really clear example of criticism aimed at government welfare programs. And honestly, it taps into a very long-running debate. You heard similar arguments decades ago. Remember the talk about welfare recipients getting Cadillacs instead of basic transportation?
Right, that kind of rhetoric.
It reflects these persisting concerns about, is the system fair? Is it efficient? This is specifically in North Carolina, tied into their broader low-income services. It's complex.
Okay, switching gears completely now. Quick hits on other stuff buzzing. @WatcherGuru posted, breaking. Bitcoin reaches new all-time high of $119,000.
Huge news in the crypto world, obviously. Bitcoin had a great week, up over 9%, lasting past its old high, which was around 87,800 pounds. Now, the story you often hear is about grassroots enthusiasm, retail investors driving it up.
Yeah, the little guy fighting back.
Right, but data from Cambridge University a few years back showed Bitcoin mining had already shifted heavily towards big, specialized, business-owned operations. So these massive price jumps. It's possible they reflect more institutional money moving in, not just pure retail hype, something to keep in mind.
Good point. And finally, just for a bit of fun, @Bhutanjabidan shared that classic husky video. You know, the one the husky gives the ultimate side-eye because a pillow is in its favorite spot? Pure jealous husky meme fuel.
Yes. Perfect example. Huskies are just masters of those exaggerated expressions, right? It connects to their known territorial nature, their strong bonds with owners. It's funny, but it also reminds us how much we connect with animals, see human-like emotions in them, and how those little moments become shared experiences online.
Absolutely. So yeah, what a mix. From big policy debates and market craziness to a very disgruntled husky, X really is just this wild snapshot of everything happening. Outro. Wow, that was quite the deep dive today, wasn't it? We went from job worries and finding resilience through all that complex stuff about information, politics, AI, then into relationships, how we see parents, friends, and finally policy, money, and yeah, even pets.
It really shows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How even these short posts, these quick trends on X, they could be doorways. Doorways into complex data, psychological insights, big societal debates. And it leaves you with a question, I think. If you applied this same kind of deep dive thinking to your own feed, what hidden layers might you uncover? What connections might you make?
Exactly. We hope this gave you a bit of a shortcut to feeling informed, maybe spark some new questions for you. That's all the time we have for this deep dive.